And so the question I get is, well, can our church be liable if we have a shooting that takes place? Well, that depends. The most likely basis for liability would be what's called the doctrine of premises liability. And that refers to the duty of any landowner to protect occupants on the premises, especially if they're invited to be there, as in a church setting. And the courts have generally referred to 4 factors to be present or to be considered in deciding if premises liability occurs. And these are commonsensical, whether any prior criminal conduct had occurred on or near your property, how recently it occurred, how often similar crimes, how frequent they occurred, how similar the previous crime or crimes were to the conduct under consideration, and was there publicity given to those prior incidents so that you would have known that they happened. So these are, again, commonsensical considerations that the courts look to in deciding, did you have a duty to protect the occupants of your premises? Another potential basis for liability is failure to hire security guards. Could a church be liable because it didn't hire security guards? Well, this is probably the most intense response that a church could take, and it would only be necessary with regard to the most significant risks. And so you look back here, did you have basically similar crimes such as firearm use on your premises in recent years? That's the kind of connection there has to be. Not a firearm 10 years ago, 3 blocks from here in a parking lot of a commercial establishment. That's not going to do it. The McDonald's case back in 1987, when 21 people were shot dead by an armed assailant at a McDonald's restaurant, McDonald's was sued. There were dozens injured as well. Many of the victims and their survivors sued McDonald's, and they showed that there were all kinds of crimes that were taking place in that neighborhood. But the California court refused to find liability under the circumstances of that case because the previous crimes were not similar enough and they were not close enough to raise a duty, as the victim said, to have armed guards present at the restaurant at all times. Negligent selection, if you decide to hire them, whether you need to or not, most churches, there's absolutely no duty to hire security guards. But if you do, can you be liable for selecting the ones that you do? A trend that's emerging now is churches hiring, not hiring, but using people that have nothing more than a concealed weapons permit. And it's common in churches. 48 states permit people to carry concealed weapons today. Only, I think, Wisconsin and Illinois do not, and D.C. So it's common for churches to have people in the pews that have concealed weapons, although in most states there are exceptions to the concealed weapons permit law. You can't carry a weapon into a school, into a church, and like in my state, there's 17 exceptions to that. You are not permitted to carry a weapon into a church.